I don't want to make this really long, but I am told we don't have the class afterwards today, so there will be some time for some Q&A if that's appropriate. But let's just jump in. So there's a big problem with neck pain in our probably in our whole world. A lot of the research that I do focuses on the U.S., but it's everywhere. Most of us will get neck pain that lasts at least a few days, and one of the big reasons I'm here is that there's a lot of people on the sidelines with neck pain, headaches, even migraines, jaw pain, which is kind of even pain and tingling down the arms, which is all encompassing the topic that we're talking today. And they're either not doing anything about it, or they're trying the same things and it's not working, or they're either going to get surgery or fearful that they're going to have that, and they don't know what to do, or like I said, they're trying either stuff that's not working so hot or nothing at all. And there's a lot of solutions that can be had with neck pain. It sounds like a really complicated subject, especially when you start talking about bulging discs and spinal stenosis and all of the terrible things that, arthritis and all of the things. Don't Google those things. That's always my joke, but don't, because everything leads to a very negative situation. Let's put it optimistically that way. So there are simple solutions that can take us from everything from that nagging, just kind of stiffness that comes and goes, but that's just kind of distracting, to severe pain, or like we said, numbness or tingling down the arm, or even that carpal tunnel symptoms that are coming from the neck, all the way to those bulging discs and things that people are really feeling like they need to get surgery for. So there's a lot of different things that we're feeling, and there are solutions for that. One of the big solutions, I'm going to give you two acronyms today, and the first one I want to stick in the back of your brain is ATM. So when you go to ATM, you take out money, you get opportunity, you can use that to create solutions for yourself. So ATM stands for always think muscle. So I've got this thing in my neck. What's the doctor tell me? Arthritis, bony spur. These things that sound really like the nerve is getting pushed on at the spinal cord level. So we think dramatic, negative things. But if we think ATM, we're creating an opportunity to create some solutions to that. Because the truth of the matter is 90% of the people that come in with neck pain, it's muscle. It's not those things. How do I know that? There's all these people out there with arthritis and bony spurs. True story. Very recently had a person come in and they had a diagnosis of bulging disc and spinal stenosis, and we looked at the MRI results and it showed spinal cord squish, and so they're like, oh crap, the doctor's telling me I'm probably going to have surgery, on and on and on, all the symptoms down there. She's not going to have surgery. Long story short, all the arm pain's gone, all the symptoms in the arm are gone. Her neck is feeling great. She can move it around. She can do all her stuff. A lot of the sand and Rice Krispies went away. And that nerve is still getting pushed on. I didn't change her discs. I didn't change her spinal cord. But we balanced the muscles around that. And so that ATM, always think muscle, if she would have not known about that, meaning she wasn't coming in and having me look at her and see what's really going on with her and guide her down a path. If she would have not been thinking ATM and would have been thinking bony spur, bulging disc, all the things that Google tells us, then she may very well have had an unnecessary surgery with all of those risks and complications. So I'm here to help people avoid that. But she thought ATM, always think muscle. That's what we did, calmed it down, did all the nerdy stuff that we do, and it was awesome. So ATM is the first acronym, and the stakes are high. Like, we don't want to have surgeries. Yes?
Oh, I thought that was an extra question.
I think it is. So we don't want to have those things. We don't want to have those surgeries. I talk a lot about the severe things, but sometimes this neck stuff is just that stiffness. It's maybe not even pain. It's just, I can't quite turn my head when I'm changing lanes, and it's a nag that's distracting me from painful attention to my family and my friends. and it's dulling my experience of life just a little bit. It's not really that bad. I guess I can deal with it. So I'm here. There's all these people on the sidelines feeling either that or the severe cases, and I want to help, at least today, give you a 3-part plan to kind of help deal with that. It's 3 parts in a talk. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, but what it does is it moves to some optimism and some hope, and it moves in the right direction. And if we do these things, then it starts to improve our bodies, also improve our optimism about that something can be done. Because I don't want people to be, the whole reason I'm doing this is that I don't want people to suffer. I want people to, because what I see this chasm between suffering and their ideal lifestyle. And I know that I have this bridge that can go between the two. And so, heck yeah, I'm going to get out there and stomp around and yell at the top of my lungs, I've got a bridge, people. We can go from here to over there. So that's why I'm here, because I see how even just a small thing can really distract and detract from our whole lives. So I'm happy to help with that. So let's talk about that 3-step thing. 3-stage plan. So it's another acronym. And so it is PMS. Okay. Okay. So P stands for posture, M stands for muscle balance, and S stands for strength. So PMS. So posture is not what you think. It's not sit up tall. It's not, you're not going to get your knuckles cracked like by the sister if you didn't have the right posture in school or playing the piano or something. Yes, it's sitting up tall. But it's also just keeping things in a neutral, thank you so much, a neutral position. That's the answer.
Thank you.
So it's keeping the posture in what we call a neutral position. So this has to do with, while I'm at the computer, do I have the teenager posture, or am I pulling things towards me? But it's also sleeping. I'm on my side and I've got 2 pillows because I've got some breathing issues, and so my neck is cranked up. Okay, well that's an issue. We got out of a neutral position. So trying to have a pillow that comes up and supports here, but then goes away from the melon, but then bridges the gap between the shoulder and the bed. And I'm making that sound complicated, but you can kind of feel it a lot of times. If it's too much, it's too much. If it's too little, it's too little. Imagining a midline this way and imagining a midline this way. If we're keeping those in line, that's neutral position. And that's what we want to do when we're sitting, when we're chopping vegetables, when we're sleeping, when we're at the computer. And we kind of know how to do that. It's just that when we're on the airplane and we're sitting next to the very interesting person and we sit there for 2 hours talking like this, and then we can't sleep that night, we got out of that position and we just something needed to change. That's kind of a hard one. But in a perfect physical therapy world, we would have been able to square up our bodies and keep that neutral position. So there's more things that we can talk about with posture, but that whole idea of I go through my day and I hear Jordan's annoying voice saying, keep your neutral position. And so it's something we all have to do. I teach this for a living. There are some other, massage therapists in the room, physical therapists. Like we know this, but we have to remember. I'm hunching. I'm hunching. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to pull things towards me, and so it's not just knowing, or it's not I'm born with good posture, or just by genetics I have bad posture. It's remembering to do it. So that's enough on that. M, so muscle balance. So what I'm talking about, so PMS. So posture, muscle, strengthening. So muscle balance, what I'm talking about here is being able to find some ways of moving the muscles, moving the body, of relaxing the muscles, of stretching the muscles if that's appropriate. And so stress is a huge one with neck pain. And stress is an overused term, but it's a vital term. And what it really means to me, stress is an internal reaction to external events. And I don't know if anybody can think of any stressful external events over the last couple of years, but there's been a lot of that. And all jokes aside, we see that in the office. There's an increase in neck-related pain and frankly pain over the whole body. And so breathing breathing exercises, I know, like, even when I say that, as boring as it is, we've all been told, oh, I should do some deep breathing, or oh, I should do some meditation, oh, I should use my diaphragm. Yes, and it's, again, same with posture. It's just about trying some things and putting some things into practice. So at the end, if we're interested, we could go through a couple positive breathing exercises. And the reason I'm saying that and linking that with stress is that I can't change the external events in the world, but I can change, to a degree, with practice, my internal reaction to those things. And one of the ways to do that is not to be here, but to do some breathing and calm my own physiology and my own reaction to that. And that, my friends, will help with neck pain as well. It sounds a little woo-woo, but don't care, it works. The third one, so PMS, that's the last time I want to say that, is strengthening. So we don't necessarily need to do a lot of neck strengthening. We don't need to put the thing that the wrestlers have in the strap and then lift the weights with the head. It's not about neck strength as much as it is about shoulder blades pulling back together. So when we talk about strengthening, that's really what it is. Yes, I see some of you correcting. So the thing is that everything pulls us forward. Our book and our food and our device and our steering wheel, everything's forward. And so our melon hangs forward and our shoulders go forward. And so we get weak and stretched out back here, and then we get pinched right here. But check it out. So say I'm here with my shoulders forward and my head forward, and I want to fix my neck posture. Okay, Jordan, well, just get your head up. Just get your head back, okay? Did I do it? Not really. But watch this. I'm not even going to fix my head. I'm just going to fix my shoulders. This is the strengthening of these muscles. I roll these guys back together. Did you see what happened? So it got there. So now I've got my melon stacked on my vertical column. So that's what we need. We need strength. It's really weird. Shoulder blades. Who knew? You need to strengthen your shoulder blade muscles to help your neck. And it is having the shoulder blades back is the kryptonite. It's the healing for these muscles that go up into the neck. It's the antidote. Maybe that's the right word. It's because if we're here and tense, and we can change that, and we do a breath, we relax, okay, we strengthen the muscles, we engage the muscles between the shoulder blades, there, breathe and relax. Now we've got everything in balance. And so that's that little trifecta, having our posture in the neutral position, relaxing some of the muscles, doing some movement. Motion is lotion. You're probably going to hear me say motion is lotion every single talk I do, because that's what we do. We're movement experts, and we've got to move stuff, and stagnancy is our enemy. So that's the three-part plan on that one. I think that there's all different places we could go. I can go into bony spurs and what happens if you've got a bulging disc and all of those things. The thing is that if I use the ATM method, and I always think muscle, the worst case scenario on all those. So let's just go to the worst case. I've got a something and it's pushing on a something and a surgeon needs to cut on it. Oh crap. Like, I don't want that. That's personally the last thing that I want. And that's what we're here for, is if you just want to, like, some little thing comes up and you're going to get some surgery, and I just want to get the doctor to fix it for me. That's not who we're for. We're for people that don't want to have that. But in my worst case scenario, you have to have surgery for this thing. If you thought ATM, always think muscle, and you went through those three things, you really worked, say you had the surgery scheduled, worst case, 2 months from now, but you got some help doing that posture and that muscle balancing and that strengthening. You just did prehab for it. You're at a higher percentage going to avoid that surgery. This is the worst case scenario. Or you just prehab your body for that surgery, and it's going to go so much better. It's going to be just the worst case scenario. You did some stuff to make your body more in balance for that surgery. Best case scenario, you're like my clients, and you're able to take that pressure off of the nerve, no longer have the symptoms down and through there. I'm not making any guarantees. It's different with everybody, and that's kind of the point. One of the overused analogies in the PT world is of vehicles. And so if you're driving your car and there's a loud knocking sound, and you've put in new coolant and you've done changed the air pressure in the tire, you've done all the stuff that you know, and it's still knocking, and now it's starting to knock worse. Like, you need to take it in and have someone look at that specific car. You know, you drive a Ferrari, so you need to take it to someone who knows how to work with Ferrari and look at your particular, you know, model of that. And so, so that's what we do. So yeah, I'm selling myself and my services. Why? Because I've got that bridge, and I'm here to help people do that. And so I'm excited about that. Medicare pays for this stuff. And I think that's a good segue. No more acronyms. And now it's question time, and I see one hand up already.
Can tinnitus be caused by the neck?
It can be related, yeah. There's all these weird cranial nerves. So we didn't get into it like with jaw pain or even migraines or headache pain, but short answer is yes. I've seen a lot of people with that where we start to soften. You know how those muscles get really tense right here at the base of the skull? Start to soften those, and it clears up a lot of different things.
I only seem to hear it on one side. And they say it's a brain thing. Well, if it's a brain thing, I would think I would probably get it on both sides.
It can be a brain thing, it can be an inner ear thing, yeah. Tinnitus itself isn't something that I feel like I have all of the answers, but I do know, yes, over treating thousands of people with neck pain and spine pain, that a lot of times we do what we do, and it clears that up. Yeah.
Because it hurts the same. I mean, I have it the same side that my neck is messed up.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a little jaunt, but we see people with vestibular issues, so inner ear problems, balance things, and so a lot of times, in conjunction with the positioning and the sort of nerdy inner ear stuff that we do, we work on almost everybody's neck as well, because those cranial nerves come out and they pierce through some of those muscles, and so tinnitus is an inner ear issue, and so it makes sense that you could soften those muscles and it could help. No guarantees, but it could help.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Any other questions? I have some frequently asked questions at the end. I'll circle back around.
Yeah,
yes, please.
I've experienced vertigo a couple of times. I think it's related to my neck.
It can be. So tell me about it. So what makes you feel like it might be related to your neck? Symptoms kind of at the same time?
Well, actually, I was just sitting having coffee with a friend a year ago, August, I can remember it.
Yeah.
And my neck just kind of popped, and almost constantly it's bothered me since then.
Yeah.
And I have the pressure headaches.
Yes.
And if I would do some of the exercise, I went to physical therapy for one round, but some of the stuff I can't do. It would make my arm tingle.
Right.
I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So I've asked for an MRI from my doctor, because I was told you shouldn't do stuff until you can cause more harm.
So boy, let's unpack a couple of those things.
Yeah.
So one, we already talked about, yes, those muscles in the neck can relate to inner ear issues, including some types of vertigo. So I'll get the last one first. The doctor saying you shouldn't do anything until we know what's going on.
Well, he didn't say that. He wanted me to go back to the same physical therapist.
Well,
it's a new doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So I think I already said this. The definition of insanity, Einstein's definition of insanity, is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results.
I'm not going back after that.
Yeah.
You sound like
that
me.
one.
So we hear that story all the time. So
Yeah,
I'm not going to throw other PT places under the bus, because frankly, physical therapists are really good. They're really smart. But some of the other places all of the other places in town have a different model where it's just a busier, more gym-like thing, and you kind of get a cookbook prescriptive, hey, do these 3 things, pull on these bands, I'll be back in 2 minutes, and I'm going to go bounce around. So that's not how we do
I came to
it.
this man years ago, and the first thing I said to him was, I don't want exercise, and heat, because it makes it worse. Figure this out, please.
Right.
And he did.
You already were somewhere, and that's part of the series of questions we ask everybody, is what's worked and what has not worked, so we don't do the same thing over again.
And you had an individual plan for me that worked really well.
Well, thank you.
Twice.
I'll give you your $20 later.
Okay.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I go to him also.
Yeah.
And his entire staff. I have arthritis in my neck.
Yeah, I do too.
And their They're hands-on therapists, they're not gonna put you on a machine and heat, like you say, or ice, maybe some heat
Yeah.
and ice, but most of
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
hands-on.
The hands-on part is huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
And out of that acronym, that manual part is a big part of getting the muscles in balance too.
Right.
And sometimes it's the joint. So like I know I keep saying these things, oh, it's not arthritis, but the thing is that yeah, we've got arthritis in our necks. Yeah, that is they are painful joints, but not all arthritic joints are painful. But if we're in that situation where there's muscle tension, then we do our little evaluations individually and we see, okay, I mean, I'm not gonna get all into what we do because it's beyond the scope, but like we do mobilize each individual joint, figure out which side is tight, work on that. Okay, well if it's tight over there, then that means it's weak over here, so we're gonna do this little exercise that's in a specific way based on what it is that you've got going. Also based on what you've tried before and what has worked and what hasn't worked, so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we're not repeating mistakes.
Just a little side story. My girlfriend started this summer with her neck hurting,
Yeah.
and so I had asked for an MRI before. My old doctor retired, and this new doctor, well, I don't think you really need it, you know. So when I went back again, I kind of asked again, so I'm hoping that I get it this time. I have to get an authorization. But anyway, long story short, hers was not a good reason to have an MRI. Hers was bone cancer.
Yeah, and that's why thank God we have those studies to show.
Yeah,
So
and I was told by, I have a friend that has her doctorate in athletic training, and she said, I can't give you any exercises until you have an MRI because we could cause more damage. Well, my doctor didn't want to hear that either.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so it feels complicated, and the thing is that there are some red flag signs when people come in and they don't have an MRI. I don't need an MRI. I almost don't even really need X-rays. There are red flag signs that we look for, and just so you know, I don't like to throw out scare tactics, but just so you know, if you have pain that's just not going away, it doesn't change with position, it doesn't change with activity, it's just there, sharp, 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 and you've tried conservative stuff and it doesn't work, then you get the MRI. But if you've got intermittent pain, and there's some clicking and popping, and so things aren't working, even some stuff down there, the cool thing is about coming to see physical therapists, we do a terrible job of marketing ourselves. I'm trying to help that. But we do special tests. They're called special tests that we do when we come in, and we test the nerves that go down the arm, and then we test whether the joints are properly opened, whether something's pinching on that side. And so we put through, I say I don't have MRI eyes, but I have a series of tests that I can do that will tell me what tissues are going on and causing that problem. And in a lot of ways it's better than an MRI because again, it doesn't come with the fear factor. So then if you do stuff and it's just staying, it doesn't change with positions, yeah, you can get the MRI and that's important. But to me, I want to see the human in front of me. I want to do my special tests. I want to listen to them about what they've tried and what they haven't. I'm hearing what they're already doing and it's going, like they can do it and it's not making their symptoms worse, so I kind of know what things I can do. Taking all of that information is much more important than an MRI. Because even when you give me the MRI and it shows me, right, all the bulging disc and the this and that, not that you have that, and if it was worst case scenario, I'm still gonna do what I do because I see how much that helps people even with positive MRIs with arthritis and bony spurs and bulging discs and all that stuff too. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Don't wait until just the MRI is generally my advice. Yeah.
Is it diagnostic if neck pain is better when you're walking?
I mean, in a way it is. It's going to be taken within the whole of everything else. But yeah, that's like a good sign. That sounds more muscular than other things because you're moving, you're generating heat, you're generating blood flow, you're not in a static position. It's not necessarily diagnostic exactly which tissue it is, so I would need to look further, but yeah, that kind of thing.
Now, but if I when I go to work and I walk for 4 hours, I don't think about my neck.
Yeah.
So I think the pain goes away.
Yeah. So to me,
or gets better.
So to me, it's hinting at, so your symptoms are going away, but you're not getting just that way. You're not getting to the the walking is great and it's getting that movement, and so it's showing us some optimism, and it's kind of helping me to prove that ATM philosophy. But then there's something that's causing that underneath to then tighten up when you do sit back down, and it's just going to be an imbalance. It's going to be an imbalance. That's the it's going to be tight on one side and it's going to be probably weak in another place. There may be something that's a little bit stuck. I'm not trying to diagnose you, but those are the general things that we see, and then we can look at it specifically too. But yeah, I think that's a good sign. Yeah. Yes.
Do you see many patients with ankylosing spondylitis?
I see a few. Yeah, I see a few, and a lot of times. Yeah, and so again, there are some specifics with that. Short answer is yes, but again, we can continue to kind of wrap that in that. Let's look at. So even though, yeah, okay, we've got this diagnosis, there can be some, inflammation, there can be some bony changes, and so we're going to take that into account. But at the same time, we're going to work on posture, we're going to work on getting muscles balanced, and we're going to work on strength, because that's ultimately what's going to put that back into balance as much as possible. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question. Yeah. And there's different, you get the diagnosis of ankylosing spondylitis with one person. That means something different, and so we get the individual in front of us, and then treat that according to what's going on with that person, both during the initial evaluation, and then the cool thing about how we do it is and then every day you're coming in, and we only have licensed professionals, and you're with one person for the whole time. So you come in that day, and then we're able to target what needs to happen that day based on what your body and words are telling us too. Yeah. Other questions? Anything waking anybody up at night other than the neck pain? Yes.
It seems like when I twist my neck sometimes certain way, I can feel like a tendon, and then there's an incredible burning sensation going all the way up into the skull, and it can actually take me down sometimes.
Yeah. What was the word that you used? You feel a 10? Was it a 10 out of 10?
It's no, it's like a tendon or a
tendon.
muscle.
A tendon.
Twist, and I can
Yeah.
feel it.
Yeah.
And then it's the burning sensation that comes with that.
Not super fun. No.
No, it's not.
No, not super fun. Yeah, so those are all within this type of symptoms that we hear all the time. And everybody's got their own little different flavor. Sometimes people will turn to one side and it's this tearing feeling and it's burning down that arm. Sometimes people turn their head and it's a pinching feeling, and it's just really painful and sharp and deep. Like we could go, there's all kinds of adjectives and locations and descriptions, but it has to do with all of those things. You mentioned, I think, going up into the skull.
Yeah.
So
At the base.
yeah, so the very first muscle I ever learned, there's no quiz on this, was the vater scapula muscle. You know it. And it sounds bad. And so it goes from, part of it anyway, it goes from right here all the way to right there. And then there's your upper trap muscle, and that's a different one. And it goes from here, most of it, all the way to there. So there's all these muscles that attach to that point. And then they have the audacity to not only hurt where they're located, but then they refer into different places too. So 100%. Yeah. So, I mean, that sounds, yeah. I've heard things, 99% similar to that many times. Yeah, but you've got your own little flavor with it. But yeah, and the burning and the tingling and the pain and the either constant or intermittent, all of those are part of very reversible neck issues.
Trigeminal neuralgia associated with neck?
Trigeminal neuralgia can very much be. That's one of those funky cranial nerves that comes in. And so short answer is yes. And that's one of those ones that really does well with some of the breathing and, you could say meditation or diaphragmatic work to kind of calm that sympathetic, because we're all here at times internally. And so if we've lived through the last couple of years, and so, or if we have spouses. And so so doing some things to decrease the nervous system's activity therefore directly decreases the sensitivity of that nerve as well. So, yeah, and I know you had to go, so.
Yeah, I've gotta go get paid to walk for 4 hours, so
All
I
right.
have less pain.
All right, good. Yeah, go do your 4 hours of relief. We like it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it helps.
Any other questions? Anything else we mentioned? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, we got more. Yes.
Could I just
I'll get you guys too.
Could I just make a statement? Years ago, I was told I had a bone spur in my neck.
Bone spur, yeah.
And the only way that I wasn't gonna have the bone spur was to go in and have surgery.
Surgery, yeah.
And then somebody told me about Jordan, and I got referred up there, and what, in 2-3 weeks, something like that, the bone spur has gotten smaller, so it tells you it's probably not a bone
It's
spur,
not a bone spur.
but a
yeah.
muscle, and Jordan
Yeah.
is the best. I feel better, I'm 81 years old, and I feel better now than I have in a lot of years.
Oh, that's sweet. You get $40. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Specifically say anything about headaches. Is
Yeah.
there a way, once you get a headache, that you can get rid of it quicker than
Yeah.
dosing all these
Yeah,
antidotes?
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever?
So let's talk about that. So headaches, the most common headache that we see is, okay, the big word is cervicogenic headache. It just means that your headache's coming from your neck. You remember the evil levator scapula comes up here and it radiates pain up here. So this location of pain is one type. So when we soften the muscles, the headache goes away. Sometimes it's here, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's other places. There's different causes of headaches, but whether it's a evil levator scapula muscle tension causing that headache, then we do these things we talked about. We calm the muscles, we get the posture, we do our manual techniques, we put the body in a balance 9 times out of 10, or I just made that up, but very, very often, that pain's gonna go down or go away altogether. See it all the time. Then there's things on the other, so simple sort of muscle headaches, and then all the way over on the other end are like crazy migraines where people have, it's blood flow issues, it's all kinds of other stuff, and honestly, they haven't quite figured it all out. You go on Stanford's migraine website, and they have a great infographic, and so let me back up. I'll get to that migraine in a second. But whether it's a migraine or a muscle thing, when we help put one's body in a balance with softening the muscles and all these things we're talking about, bringing awareness into triggers about what's bringing it on. She had a great example of like, hey, I feel it here, but I don't feel it there. And working on those muscles in that area, a lot of times, no, I don't necessarily fix, in quotes, the migraine, but I can decrease the trigger that then brings it on, because a lot of times migraines come from muscle tension. So if I can stop the trigger, so like I didn't take away the bullet, which is the cause, but I took my finger off the trigger and kind of put a guard on there, then the bullet never gets fired. I don't know if that's a good analogy. So, but then, okay, did that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, somewhat. I just, sometimes there's no trigger. I can't think of a trigger. It just.
Well, it's like that. Yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, and so the thing is with the body, it's here's a good example. So I treated someone on Friday, and then I saw her again on Monday. So we don't always know what the cause of the stuff is. And we're usually so short term about it in our thinking. So what happened was on Friday I saw her. That day, she's coming for back pain. That day, she gardened like crazy, and that was like a level 10 active. Like she hadn't been doing anything. She's like taking little walks and doing my little exercises, and getting our massages and just really slowly building up her strength. And so she gardened for like 4 hours. She's like, I felt so good, I went gardening. And I was just like, whoa. When did you do that? She's like, today. I feel great. I'm like, oh. Okay, we're gonna talk. Okay, let's see. And so we did our thing. We took it pretty easy. She did great. She wasn't having any symptoms yet. And so then on Monday, she came in. She's like, Jordan, I don't know what you did to me on Friday, but I felt really sore. And she didn't actually say that, but that is what goes through our minds. Like we think of like the most short-term thing, but really like a better example would have been if she would have gardened like 2 days before. My whole point is we do stuff and it adds up cumulatively in our body, and then we have the symptom. So it's like we're looking for, well, what did I do 5 minutes before the symptoms came on? Now, well, it's probably what you did over the last 48 or even longer, too. So, but the answer with these headaches is more often than not, it's ATM. It's always think muscle. It's gonna be some muscle tension around in that area. It's gonna be some postural issues, because we all have them. Like I said, I teach this for a living. I have to, if I go out into the parking lot at the end of the day walking like this, I'm like, oh, I didn't remember to do my posture as well. So the answer is gonna be getting those things in balance. And then who knows, like say you were asking about a migraine. I don't know if you are, but Stanford's website on migraines has a great infographic, and it's holistic. And so what I mean by holistic, it's taking in the whole body, the whole person, all of our different systems. And so what it's great for is that a lot of times there isn't just one thing. And so with a lot of this neck pain, I'm saying it's this one thing, muscle, but it's also how we're moving. It's also our stress level and things like that. So migraines, like what we're eating, what our allergy season is like, what our stress level is like, how much we're sleeping. There's all these different, which medications we're taking. There's all these things that go into play to change how a migraine is. And that's kind of that same kind of wheel or puzzle is how we see the human body, whether it's the neck or the knee or the shoulder. It's that, okay, how are they moving? What are the special tests that we do? And then what's their personality like? What's their stress level? And trying to massage that in a way that brings them back into balance in as many of those places as possible. And so, and it takes collaboration, you know, like I know when I get hurt, I want someone to pop it and make it better so I'm better yesterday. But that's not usually how it works. My wife's actually the founder of our company. And so I usually complain and she's like, well, what have you been doing? And so then we get back to basics when she tells me what to do. Yes?
I was wondering if you would comment on scoliosis.
Scoliosis, yeah, super common. So scoliosis is curvature of the spine, and there's mild scoliosis, which just creates some stiffness. I have mild scoliosis. It makes one hip a little higher than the other, and it makes me stiffer. So then I need to do certain things that some people won't. I'll need to stretch a little bit more. Strengthening is important for me, for my posture, but stretching and mobility, just gentle little, yoga type things, gliding movements are important. And so those of us with scoliosis are going to tend to be a little stiffer. And then because of that, sometimes it will go into it'll affect low back issues or things like that. So it's just, it's like our car, instead of needing to get tuned up, every 50,000 miles, we just kind of need to put a little extra oil in and maybe get it tuned at 40,000 miles. And then there's all the way on the other end, which is like people that have had surgery with the rods and all of that. And they're having, usually that's a childhood onset, and their scoliosis is radically progressing, and so they need something to stop that. And there are uses of braces and things like that. But again, it's going to be about balance. It's going to be, there's a curve, and it's usually, S-shaped, but we'll just simplify. This stuff is all tight from muscles pulling or have just gotten pulled. This side is all stretched out and weak, so we need to strengthen this side to pull it back up, and we need to stretch or loosen that side and bring it in. So in general, that's what we do when we have someone that we're seeing for scoliosis. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Any follow-ups or specifics?
Yeah. I was born breech, and as a result, I think it's caused my scoliosis. But from about the age of 21 to 70, I did yoga.
Oh, wow.
Stretching, and I feel that really helped my spine.
Yes. 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 Yeah. Motion is lotion, again. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Was there another question? I think we got yours.
I just wanted to mention, could
Yeah.
you go through a couple of breathing exercises that you found to be effective?
Absolutely, yeah. So let's just do the most simple of simple. And whether you've got neck pain or you just want to regulate your blood pressure, or you want to improve even things like your immune system, doing these things, these types of things is fabulous. So what I've found is simple is better than complicated. So I'm gonna call this one 5 breaths. We're just gonna take 5 breaths, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna try to build some awareness of the breathing. So I'll have you, if you want, whoever wants to, go for it. So we're gonna put one hand on the chest and one hand on the belly. And so don't get too caught up in whether you feel like you do this right or not. Just see what happens. And so I'm gonna stand hopefully sideways where mostly you can see. I don't want you to focus too much on this part. Mostly I just want you to feel the air going in and out of your nose or your mouth. But if you can get a little bit of movement where you breathe in, the belly goes out. So watch this, in, out. That's a diaphragmatic breathing. That's really hard for people with neck pain. You want to see what it looks like on 90% of people? Those are accessory respiratory muscles, aka neck muscles, that we're using. So as we go through this, don't get your athlete brain going. There's no gold medal in breathing right now. Just the best thing you can do is just feel what's happening. And if you're breathing more from here, awesome. You have something to play around with. If you're breathing more from down here, awesome. Then you can keep doing that and feel that, but you're still not getting a gold medal. But so what we can do is this is one component, and you can either leave your hands there or you can move them. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take 5 breaths. And yes, maybe you breathe a little bit with the belly. That's just kind of an intro. Let go of that if that's too hard. But what everyone can do is as we breathe in, kind of a medium breath, feel the air, and just keep breathing while I'm talking. You'll feel that breath go in. Feel the temperature of it. Feel the sensation in the nose as those molecules slide in. Maybe feel it going into your mouth. We're just trying to feel our bodies, and we're doing it through the breath. So we feel it go in. Feel if your lungs expand. Feel if your belly moves. Just notice. Try not to judge it too much. Just notice what's happening. Keep breathing in and out. Notice the difference between the inhale and the exhale. Maybe we can have a little intention of on the exhale, we can soften just a little bit. Maybe you can feel the seat underneath you, the feet underneath, the pressure of the earth underneath your feet, the support of the chair. And on that exhale, melt into that support just a little bit. So you're feeling the breath going in, you're feeling the breath going out, and on the exhales, you're grounding. You're melting yourself into that support. So that was a lot of words. What we would do is 5 breaths. So let's do 5 breaths, and we'll exhale. I'm just gonna make noise so you can hear what I'm doing. Inhale. Feel it. And long exhale. Feeling the support. Pause. Inhale. And then we breathe out twice as long as the inhale. Your timing might not be exactly like mine. It's okay. Just breathe in shorter or longer. In. Feel your body relax on the exhale. Notice the temperature. Feel your face relax. Feel your palms relax. Feel your bum relax. Inhale. Exhale. Maybe you'll notice something, let go. Last one, inhale. And exhale all the air out. So just pause for a second. Whether we felt like we did good or not, whether we started thinking about that we forgot to feed the dog or what's for dinner, there's a little calmness in the room. Can you guys feel that? Maybe you feel just like a little bit of calmness in your body. That's what we were going for. We oxygenated, we stimulated our vagus nerve. Don't Google it. It helped you relax. It maybe brought you breathing with your diaphragm a little bit more than with your neck muscles. I don't think even any of the details is the most important, but we actually took time out to do 5 breaths, and that's the important part. It's these little actions. It's just like I'm kind of, prodding you guys. If you're doing the same thing with your neck over and over and you're expecting different results, we just take these little actions. So the little action you guys took today was to come in. Those of you that gave me your email, you'll get a little summary of this. And if anybody wants to add their email, I didn't do it, it's still up here. But you're taking these small actions. So for neck pain, it can be something as simple as taking those 5 breaths, or messing with the posture, or trying to strengthen those muscles between the shoulder blades. But like, it seems so simple, right? Like 5 breaths. But when that adds up cumulatively, these small things over time, that's what creates wellness in us. And I still want someone to come and pop all the things that I've got going on, but when I do the 5 breaths, or these simple things added up over time, it's just like that compounded interest when you start looking at investments. It's that little bit over time that leads to big results. So don't ever think that one little change that you're doing isn't doing something, because you can't see the results immediately. So that's probably a good transition point. I don't want to take up too much of your day. We have extra time here today. I'm happy to be here as long as possible, or as long as needed. Any other
I wanna have
questions?
my email.
Ah, see? See, there we go. And I'll just leave it up here if anybody else wants to do that later.
Gordon?
Too.
If you already
Yes.
have mine, do I need to add it again?
Why don't you put it on there? Yeah, just so it's right in front of me, and let me know which ones you want. Yes. Yeah, please do. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any other frequently asked questions. Pillows come up a lot. Yes.
You said you were covered by Medicare.
Yeah.
Do you need a physician's referral to see you?
With Medicare you do, but any type of physician, even dentists can write it, because we see people with jaw pain, so a lot of times the dentists will send us. But yeah, so it could be a GP or an ortho, and if you want to talk to me afterwards, and you can tell me if you already have a GP who that is. We've been in the area for 20 years now, 19 years now, so we know just about everybody, and so it's not really about what we know, it's just that that will depend on your relationship with the doctor. If you've already talked to them about what's going on, then we'll probably just fax them over, hey, we're going to see Mrs. Smith for her, we'd like to, she'd like to see us for some therapy, is Dr. So-and-so cool with that? And then we can get it that way. But if you haven't talked to them at all about it, then a lot of times they need to see you first. But Medicare covers physical therapy 80%, and then the secondary covers usually the most, if not all, of the 20% after that. Yeah. And in January, that you guys have a little bit of a deductible. I don't remember what it's going to be this next year, but it's like $187 or something random like that. But then after that, they cover it. So, yeah.
What is your next topic going to be on next one?
Ooh, good question.
I'd just like to know.
Yeah, I don't have my phone, but I'll talk to Amy and we'll let you know.
Send it out in the newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. It was one of 2 things. They sound like the same thing, but they're not. It was, I'm over 60, can I still build muscle? So it was going to be kind of like that topic. Or it was going to be how to start exercising without getting hurt if it's been a while.
Yeah.
And some principles with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
have a good holiday.
Thank you everybody. Yeah. If anybody has more questions or wants to talk more, I'll hang out for a little bit. But thank you all for your time and attention.